I'm the fallen angel Christopher Daniels, an inspiration to children everywhere, a national treasure. You're watching Dre Gaming 41? Dre 41 Gaming, my man.
I'm like, and then as soon as I seen like, oh, they doing community creations, bet I'll be on it. For real.
Yeah, man. That's our first. That's how I first came upon you was when we started doing the community creations. And I think it was Tank Aaron Kaufman, our social media manager. He just wanted us to kind of like highlight, the top creations and stuff. And I was constantly seeing Dre 41. I'm like, who the fuck is this? Is this cat? It's like I'm highlighting this shit every fucking week.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, man. We come full circle. Now that we are on the phone.
Right, exactly.
Very nice to meet you, brother.
Nice to meet you too, man. Like I definitely appreciate this, mainly because it was just like I wanted to grow my YouTube channel, and just doing gameplay is cool, but I also wanted to be able to get like interviews and really get like the people behind the game. Not even so much about like, of course, like the game and history of the game and how you feel about certain aspects from past games and things like that. But just like how you got into it, like what's, like your views on wrestling. What do you like to watch? What got you into it in the first place? It's little things like that, like the little insight into a person's life that I'm more interested in. Of course, the game, but more like what got them to where they're at.
I like that. That's a good angle to take because obviously there's not we're not at it. There's plenty of other sites and everything. We can just kind of get the straight facts about the game, but to kind of
they got everybody who does it about like a game. I'm good on that. Like let people search for that. But if they want to know the people behind it, I want to be that person. Like I also have I'm trying to get another interview for a wrestler for Northeast Wrestling. His name is Wrecking Ball. I'm trying to get an interview with him too. So I'm trying to do a lot of things, man. Trying to do a lot of things, keep busy.
Well, to speak on that, like I could probably set up or hook you up with my boy Mike Taylor, who was basically the fucking the MVP, the team captain of our mocap squad for a good 10, 11 years. And I don't know if you probably don't know Mike Taylor, but or heard the name, but he was an OVW guy signed, WWE's developmental. Was in Deep South. I met Mike in 2006. Him and his wife Tracy were both in Deep South, and they came out from mocap. It was them two. Bill DeMott was the trainer there. MVP, Doug Basham, a couple other cats over in Deep South at that time. But me and Mike became really good friends, and when him and Tracy got released, I think they got released in 2008, 2009. I brought him back into the team, into the mocap team, because at that point we had gotten word from WWE that they would no longer supply us with their developmental talent.
What?
Because they were moving their stuff to FCW.
Okay.
And that's when they wanted to make FCW more of a priority. So they told us, you guys build a group of wrestlers and just, you can use them. So I was like, cool. So I just reached out to pretty much a lot of the guys that had just been released. Yeah. From WWE, and Mike Taylor was one. But I would say, and I've talked about Mike in other interviews and stuff, but I would say Mike from SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 to 2K17.
Yeah.
I would say a good 70 to 75% of all of the in-game motions is him.
Wow. Damn, he must be talented as hell.
He is. He was. If you look him up, he's like a smaller guy, but like thick and wide and muscular, but can do a lot of cruiserweight shit. Like he was a cruiserweight before we brought in Sanjay, which is crazy to think about it. But that's how versatile that Mike is. But no, like I think, but because he's got the wrestling background. He was on Velocity. He got a ton of stories. He was on Velocity and worked Kendrick in London. Their first match as a team together. He was there day one when they opened up Deep South. He just got a ton of stories. He's been in and around the business. But yeah, I think he would be a great interview, man, because he can talk about the game as well as just wrestling shit. If you were interested.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah, I will take that for real. What do you remember Your first match. What show were you watching? Was it WWF, WCW? How did you first see wrestling and really get interested in it?
Jeez. This is going to be slightly difficult to answer, like my first match. Because, truth be told, Dre, like, so I'm 40 years old. I turned 40 this year in May. So I was born in '79. So I came up through, you know, the WWF, rock and wrestling in the '80s boom. So wrestling was always present, like to me, but it was never anything that I was really into.
Oh, wow.
When I was young. I mean, I remember watching the Saturday morning cartoons sometimes. I did, the first wrestling action figure I got for Christmas, which I don't know who got it for me because I wasn't even into wrestling, but it was a King Kong Bundy LJN figure.
Wow.
Which I actually loved, and I would play with that with my Transformers and G.I. Joes. And I'm a fan of King Kong Bundy to this day because of that damn toy. But I remember watching it, just kind of tangentially on TV. Like they'd flip into the channels and I'd see it, but I would quickly change the channel because it just didn't appeal to me, to be honest. Wow. And I'd much rather watch cartoons. So the first match is really hard for me to say. I just remember seeing Hulk Hogan. He was everywhere, of course. Yeah. All that kind of stuff. But first match, I could say the first promo because the first promo is what got me into wrestling. So with this, we got to fast forward to 1997.
Oh wow!
It was my first. I had just graduated high school. My first year in college. I went to Cal State Northridge out here in Los Angeles, and I remember it was the second semester. Maybe it was '98 actually, and because the first semester I lived off campus, and then second semester I got into the dorm, and a good buddy of mine who I met in the dorm, who's still my best friend to this day, my buddy Amir. He had invited me over to his room to watch Monday Night Raw with him and his roommate. And I'm like, man, I don't watch that wrestling shit. I don't want to do that. And he's like, no, bro, you got to come. You got to check it out. It's going to be so much fun. Like, just have some beers. You don't have to, just hang with us. Just hang with us. So I'm like, all right. So I left my room, went upstairs to his. And there were about 4 cats in there, him, his roommate, some other people, and then myself. Yeah. So, I'm having a beer with them, and, like, they're having a good time, and they're enjoying whatever the hell they were watching, but they kept changing the channels and stuff, going from Nitro to Raw. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Because none of this shit was, I didn't know any of this shit was going on. The Monday Night Wars, none of this. And they were watching, I remember shooting the shit with Amir, and then all of a sudden this dude starts talking, and I started laughing, and I turned, I'm looking, and all of a sudden I'm focused on this guy cutting this promo, and I was just like enthralled, and I put my beer down, and I'm laughing, I'm like, this guy is fucking incredible. I'm like, bro, yo, who is this? He's like, oh, dude, that's The Rock, man. I'm like, The Rock? I'm like, okay. And from there, it was like pretty much game on. So I know that a lot of people, especially in my age group, my generation, like they attribute Hulk Hogan and Savage and all those guys is what got them being fans. But for me, it was The Rock, and because I hadn't seen anybody in my prior experience of trying to sample wrestling, seen a promo as quite honestly as cool as that. Because he came across hip, the dude wasn't rocking yellow, which I always had a problem with Hogan. It's like, dude, you're really yellow, man. That's a coward's color. Big old swole-looking hot dog running around here with yellow and red. I could not get the appeal of Hogan. And then, now I feel justified in that with all the nigga comments and everything. So, fuck Hogan. So The Rock he was my entry point, man. And after that, it was just a regular thing, regular habit of every Monday. Get done with classes and get to the dorms, and me and my boys would just get together and channel flip between Nitro and Raw, and I gravitated towards the WWF pretty much instantly. Like, the shit that I would see on Nitro, it just looked bad. I mean, outside of seeing Goldberg, I'm like, oh, this guy looks pretty cool and shit. The WCW stuff just didn't really appeal to me, at least back then. So that's really what got me. That's what got me into wrestling. But even that didn't really keep me there. enjoyed it. Once Vince bought WCW and all of that, I slowly, and not just myself, but me and Amir and the fellas, we slowly started to we kind of faded out of getting together every Monday. And a large part of it, if I'm being honest, probably just had to do with the fact that we were all super seniors and just needed to buckle down and get the fuck out of college.
Yeah.
So that really became the priority. And so, yeah, I kind of just stopped watching altogether. And then I graduated. And what got me back into wrestling was getting my job at THQ.
Now, how did that happen, though?
So my ex-girlfriend, Caroline, is to thank for basically where I am today. Because she knew, I remember, do you remember The Real World?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I remember there was a Real World Boston, and there was this one cat on there, this brother named Cyrus, and I really liked him a lot. And it was like after that season in Boston, they did like a Where Are They Now type of special. And they showed Cyrus, and he was talking about how, after the show, he's doing this, that, and the other, and that he got this job. It was probably at EA, working as a game tester.
Okay.
And that was the first time I even heard about that being a profession. And I was getting close to graduating, and just kind of like on a whim, talking to my girl, my ex, and I just mentioned, because we were talking about, what we were going to do when we were going to graduate, because we were both very close. She graduated before me, but I was, just a little bit right behind her. And I just told her, it's like, I think when I graduate, because I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I'm probably going to, I'm going to get a job trying to be a game tester. That seems fun, kind of do that a little bit until I figure out what it is I want to do. And I just made it just like, just a passing comment to her. And we'll fast forward a little bit. When I graduated, that night, she told me that she had submitted an application for me to this place called THQ for a game testing position, and that I was scheduled for this phone interview. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I just remember you talking about it, and I just wanted to do something nice for you, for your graduation.
Wow. And
I thought it was the sweetest thing ever, and I, did the interview, and then went to a second interview where I met HR and got hired.
Wow.
And this was 2003? Yeah, like summer of 2003. And that's what got my foot in the door. I got to THQ and had to do this week of training, which in hindsight is like pretty ridiculous because the job is so freaking easy. But honestly, apparently, you go through the training, and then if you pass, you get the job.
Yeah.
And I just assumed that the job was mine. But there were a couple of cats in the training class with me that didn't get hired. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about them. But I got hired, and that was my start. And the first game that I was assigned to was Raw 2 from the original Xbox.
Oh, wow.
You remember that game?
I have that game.
Yeah, I still have it too. Wow. It was not a very good game.
Yeah, but you know what? It has its uses.
It did. I remember the thing that everybody, that all of us testers enjoyed the most was, because I think that was the last game of, like, I guess if you want to call them like the modern or more modern or current consoles, where the player was given complete freedom over the appearance of the wrestlers themselves. Like,
yes.
There weren't any restrictions placed on what you could do as far as their appearance, clothing, all that stuff. I remember everybody getting a kick out of that.
Yep. Changing people's gimmicks and everything. Yep.
Yeah. So once I was testing that, and like I said, I kind of been out of the loop with wrestling, or just WWE at the time, and being on that game and seeing faces that I recognized, but then a whole bunch of faces that I didn't. It just got me kind of more interested in what was going on. And then at the same time, a lot of the cast that I was working with on that project, the lead in particular, we became friends, and he was a really big wrestling fan. And, talking to him every day and working on the project, it just slowly got me back into watching WWE. And that was really it. And after I finished that project, I remember they were just starting SmackDown. I say just starting, like they're bringing it into test. Here Comes the Pain, and a lot of my team was being moved over to that project, but I was still stuck on the Raw 2, and I was asking him, I'm like, hey, can I get put on this? You know, it's like I want to work on Here Comes the Pain, but I did not get my wish, and ultimately I got put on SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Damn.
Instead. But everything works out for a reason, because I tell you what, man, that game actually was pretty damn fun. And I met a lot of friends on that project that I'm still tight with to this day. But after that, I ended up doing SmackDown, the first SmackDown versus Raw.
Okay.
That was my third game. And that's really where I kind of got my foot in the door as far as TV is concerned, because while testing that game, and at this point, I was all in with WWE as far as watching the product and everything like that. So once I got put on SmackDown, that first SmackDown versus Raw, like I knew the guys, I was good at the game. So, you know, my manager, my lead, Ian, he went up to me one day and he was like, hey, Brian, would you be available or willing to go to Vegas to this GameStop manager show? They need somebody to demo the game to like the managers at this convention. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Anything to get out of the office and shit. So I went on that trip to Vegas, and I met, and I mean, I was the only one from QA, and there were several people there from, you know, product development who I would meet and kind of get to know. And I was there for 2 days, came back. 2 weeks later, I was sent on another trip, this time, another manager show. This time it was in Orlando. Similar thing, there to demo the game. And it was there that I met my boy, I feel bad for his name. Oh, damn. It's been a long time since I talked to him, but he was a designer from the game, from product development. And me and him got along really great during the trip. We had Albert.
Okay.
He was there, signing autographs and everything during the event for us. And it was funny, like right after that event, WWE released him, and then he went to Japan, I believe.
Damn.
Because he was out with an injury, and he was just. And I remember talking to Albert. Like, yeah, I'm working my way back. The doctors have cleared me. It's just a matter of time before I get put back on TV. And then shortly after he got released.
Damn.
But damn, what was his name? Dude, this is really bugging me. Oh man. But yeah, all right. In any event, killing. I gotta find out. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Well, it's probably gonna come to you though.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So I'll just keep going. So we're at the convention, and me and him, we just kind of we got along really well, and he liked me. He was impressed with my knowledge of WWE and the game and everything like that. So we just had a really good time and working together. And ultimately, when I got back, when we all went back to LA and everything, I remember a couple of weeks later he came down to see me because we were on the second floor. QA was, and then product development and everybody else were like above us. And I remember one day I was working, and my manager, my lead, comes. He's like, "Hey, Brian, somebody wants to talk to you out in the hallway." So I go out there, and it was Devin. There we go, Devin. Oh, I feel bad for Devin. It's Devin. And so he's like, "Hey, Brian." I'm like, "Hey, Devin, what's up, man?" And he's like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know how impressed I was, with how well you handled yourself at that event. Do you think, would you want to work on the game and in a design capacity? Is that something that would be of interest to you?" And I told him, I'm like, "You kidding me?" I'm like, "Yeah, hell yeah." And so he told me, he was like, "Well, okay, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I can't promise you anything, but I'm going to talk to my people, my coworkers and everybody upstairs, and we'll be in touch, or I'll be in touch." And I was like, "Okay, yeah." So, months went by and didn't hear anything about it. And during this time, like, I was just getting fed up in QA. Like, I had been there a year, maybe a month, I was just sick of it. You know, the hours were terrible. I was just tired of the stupid games that I was testing on, and I was like, but the thing is, like, I didn't want to leave THQ. I just wanted a better position.
Yeah.
So I remember going to the head of QA, Monica was her name, and she allowed me to, kind of vent to her a little bit. And I just told her that, look, Monica, I don't want to leave, but I've done this X amount of time. I'm not really learning anything new, and I just know that I can offer something more than what, I'm currently able to do.
Yeah.
And she told me about a new position that was opening up in QA called for the game evaluation team. Now this team in QA was like everything. Everybody in QA wanted to be a part of this team because it was in QA, but you weren't testing.
Okay.
It was the most kind of like lush and relaxed position in QA because there were only like 5 people on the team. And essentially what it was is that you basically, the game evaluation team, the GET team, was there to analyze, competitive titles from other publishers, developers against what we were doing internally, and then write kind of reports about where we stack up with the competition.
Oh, okay.
So just very, very, just analyzing and critiquing, our own internal products as well as, the competition, stuff like that. So a lot of writing involved, which was good with me because I'm a really good writer. I mean, I have a degree in art history, so all I did is write. So she told me about that position opening up, and so I applied for it. And ultimately, I got hired for that position, and it was great. I got a nice increase in pay,
which is always good.
Which is always good, of course. But the thing is that I was only there for a month because during that time when I had just been there, Devin, he came back to me about the job in the design position, and he was like, "Are you still interested?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I just got this new position here." And he was like, "Well, I mean, I'm sure they'll be understanding about it. It's a much, a really good, situation." So I went and I told the guys and my new supervisor, and he was like, "Oh, Brian, of course." He's like, "Dude, that's a great opportunity. Yeah, please, by all means, we're not gonna give you any shit about that. Congrats." So that's when I went and I actually interviewed for the design position, and that's actually where I first met Corey, because Corey and Devin were both designers at the time working on the project, and I interviewed with the two of them. Devin kind of made the introduction to me and to Corey, and the three of us just kind of had a quick little meeting, and a week later I was offered the job, and it was off to the races from there, man.
Wow, that is wild. I mean, that's actually like almost like a direct path, kind of. You kind of just set yourself up to just really get to where you wanted to. I mean, everything kind of fell into place. Was there any point in time between any of that where you were like, maybe this isn't for me, or maybe I want to try to do something else? Was there any point in time through there where you was having a tough time to where you felt like maybe it wasn't for you?
Oh yeah. Honestly, like during that year of being a tester, I was constantly on the search for work, for new jobs. There was actually, funny enough, like after I graduated, from CSUN, from college, and I started working at THQ. It was right after I had done Raw too, and was working on SpongeBob. I got a notice in the mail from my college telling me that I owed them 3 credits, and I was like, "What?"
Oh.
So I called in sick every Wednesday for a semester, and I would call in sick every Wednesday to the job, go to my classes, and I took care of those credits. And I was worried because I remember when I first got hired, they were like, "Look, if you can't make your shift, all you need to do is call." There was like a 1-800 number that you could call and just let everybody know, "Look, I'm going to be out today." And they stress, as long as you do that, you're going to be good. The worst thing to do is to just not show up. So every Wednesday, I called that hotline, told them, "Oh yeah, I'm not feeling well. I got something I got to take care of," and finished up college. And when I went back, once that was done, I kind of was like over the whole testing thing. So yeah, I would use that hotline and go on interviews. I did this one thing where it was like a sales position where it was really bad. Like I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I was just desperate. We were basically selling coupons door to door. Yeah, it was some stupid shit. And I remember they wanted us dressed up, so I'm in a suit, and we're selling these coupons door to door. It was like 3 or 4 of us in the valley. And so those who don't know, like, I mean, I was in San Fernando, which is kind of like, you know, on the outskirts of LA. In the summer, hot as hell. Like, I mean, in the summer, San Fernando can get anywhere. I mean, on average, you're looking at 105, 108 degrees during the summer. And I'm suited and booted, sweating my ass off, trying to sell Domino's coupons and everything. And I remember, you know, getting in the car, going with these people to get to like the neighborhoods we were going to be selling. And we passed by THQ, and I'm out here going door to door, and I'm just I missed my chair and my desk at the office so bad. I was like, as much as I dislike, you know, that testing job, I wish nothing more than that day than to get my ass out of that suit, off the street, and back in the office testing Big Mother Truckers, I think it was at the time. So that was bad. But no, there were a lot of moments where I just got disillusioned. I'm like, man, I'm not making a lot of money. You know, I went to college and paying all this money and these student loans, and this is what I'm doing. And I just didn't feel right about myself. And honestly, like, that is what propelled me to go and talk to Monica in the first place. It's just that frustration that I was having. So there was a lot of times, where I was questioning everything. But honestly, like, everything changed once I went into Monica's office, and, you know, I just, you know, expressed to her my desire to improve my station at the company. And once that happened, like, everything kind of fell into place.
Okay.
And once I got the game evaluation gig, and then, of course, once I got hired on to work as a designer on the WWE project, I mean, that was just, I didn't expect or see any of that coming from myself, you know, at all. Like, this was no master plan or anything. It was just, everything was kind of, I slipped on the man appeal of life, and it led to happy consequences for me.
And that's a good thing. And like a lot of times, like when people are in tough times in life, they always have that option, the easy way, quit and just not even try and accept failure, as opposed to, you know what, I'm gonna stick it out, even though I feel the need to quit. I'm gonna stick it out and keep going. And that's definitely something a lot of people need to hear, especially when they feel like they're at the bottom. Your goals will only go away if you give up on them. So, I mean, that's definitely a good thing that you stuck with it. I mean, and it came out, everything came out good. So that's definitely a good thing. But now moving forward to, now you have the position, and now you're in the design team for the games. When did things change over to where it was around, I wouldn't say SmackDown versus Raw 2010. I believe that's probably when I started seeing videos with you on it, I think.
Okay.
When that time came around, what was the plan going forward for the team and the WWE game in general? Like, what did you guys see for the future? What were your initial plans? And what were things that were going on that you didn't want to happen, like, for an example, something that you wanted in the game that you were never able to get in there, or something that you just was pushing for and they said they would, but it didn't go through? Just give us a description of like what was going on around that time near SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. I know it was almost 10 years ago, but, you know, whatever you can say.
Yeah, that was, jeez, I'm trying to remember that. Man, what was going on? I'm in my office right now. I'm trying to see if I can look at some old games that might bring back some memories and some shit.
So let me just ask a more detailed question with that. Maybe, like, let's say with community creations, when you see that there's a community out there where there's websites like cause.ws or Smack Talks where they're sharing call creations, and did you guys see that and say, let's utilize that? Or was it someone else in your office that said, hey, I got this idea, maybe we can set up this online trading creations or downloading them? Was anybody, in your group ahead of that, or was it just an idea that just came up?
Well, we were all like all the designers at least were very, we were always aware of Cause, the website cause.com, and what is it, the SmackDown Hotel, and like all the content creators out there. We were always aware of that. I want to say that the community creation came about once we got online in a major way and started doing like our DLC. I think our first DLC was what, 2008. SmackDown vs. Raw 2008.
I want to say it had like Vader, Evan Bourne, I believe.
Yeah, I think that was 2009. Yeah. But yeah, it kind of coincided with us, offering DLC. But it was like year over year, one of the things that, we would try to improve were just, obviously the models and all the stuff for our creative nodes, especially the creative superstars. And we kind of started getting to a point where, the visual quality of the part, just started to increase. And it was like, we've got a really good suite of modes here with, the superstar and all these things you can create. And I think it was Corey, I'm pretty sure it was him, who came up with the idea of basically allowing, players to share all this content. And Games Community Creations was born. That was a Corey, the Desma push.
Oh, okay.
If I'm remembering correctly. And yeah, I remember everybody was on board with that because it was like, well, yeah, of course, especially me, because I worked and did a lot of work in Creative Superstar, like in that mode, but I'm terrible at it, to be honest. I'm really bad. So I used to go visit, that Cause website, and I would look at, just the skill of some of these players and what they were creating and uploading. It was just like, wow, man. So when we started, came up with the idea of sharing this stuff, I was like, that's great for me because now I can just download everybody else's. I don't have to spend all this time trying to create something that's going to look, less than half as good.
Yeah.
So me personally, just as someone who plays the game as well as working on the games, that was a win for me. But yeah, but that was always a big part of our game. Was outside of the wrestling and stuff and the gameplay was our whole creation mode suite. That always got a lot of attention year over year. So it just seemed to make sense to what was the next thing we can do? It's like, well, let's elevate this and let's make it so it's like, boom, here are the tools. Share with the world. And kind of get your name out there, which obviously got your name out there to me. I kept seeing your handle on everything. That was dope at the time. And it's just, and I'm really proud of that because it's become a standard now, with the franchise. And honestly, I think with probably anything else that we do moving forward, I can't imagine that this wouldn't be something that continues.
Absolutely. Now around this time, especially with, let's say not only just downloading wrestlers from WWE or in WWE's past, but also wrestlers around the world, when did you start appreciating wrestling outside of WWE?
Okay, yeah, this I have a very good answer for. So when I got like, what was it, SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. When I was working on that, so that was 2006. Because the game year was always ahead of the actual year we were in development. So it was around 2006, and working on the game, still relatively new, but really not enjoying the WWE products. Like I just was not digging it very much. And my buddy Dan, who was a former coworker with me on the game, he was the one that really kind of got me into independent wrestling, and then working with Yukes, they got me into New Japan Pro Wrestling. And me and Dan and I, he took me to my first PWG show in 2006, and I remember that just blowing my mind at the level of the in-ring talent and ability and the things that they were doing, and seeing that and then juxtaposed to what I was seeing on Raw and on SmackDown, I was like, there's a whole world of dope wrestling like this, and I'm forced to watch this shit on Mondays. I was like, this is insane. And I remember that first show at PWG, I remember seeing for the first time Pac Kevin Steen, Owens, Claudio Castagnoli, and this Cesaro. And this is when Claudio. I remember the first time I saw Claudio. He came out, and this was back when he was rocking the suit to the ring.
Yeah, and he had like the long, stringy kind of hair.
Yeah, he kind of looked like James Buck. I guess kind of like what he was rocking his WWE entrance not too long ago. But he would just come out almost like wearing a suit.
Yeah.
And he was taller than most of the other guys on the show at that time. And I'm just looking at this guy, and I'm like, what the fuck? And during the match, he's like doing springboards and everything, and I'm just like, what? Like, this is nuts. Like, this, like, what? Like, it looked like seeing these guys wrestle it was like a video game. I was just so blown away. And I became me and Dan both became PWG regulars for like years after that. I mean, I can't tell. I used to live next to Reseda. When PWG was still running shows out of that Reseda venue. Now they're near downtown. But at the time, like, I only lived like 10 minutes away. So every time PWG would have a show, and this was during, towards PWG, before like 2014, late 13, when it really kind of blew up, where it wasn't all that difficult to get a ticket. Me and Dan would just show up, wait in line, get a ticket, and, see the show. But, yeah, I've been to, man, I don't even know, like, there were years where we didn't miss a show. So I can't tell you how many events of those I went to. So independent, yeah, PWG and other independent promotions kind of got me more invested and interested in pro wrestling as a whole. And then, Yukes, the company that I work for now, and the company that I was working with back then with THQ, they had released a game called Wrestle Kingdom. Which, you remember? Have you ever heard of that? Or
the Holy Grail. One of the holy grails of wrestling games.
Yeah, and I remember they had sent over a copy, because it was only released in Japan. They had sent over a 360 copy of the first one, and I remember playing it, and it was just like, whoa, what the F is this? I'm like, this is dope.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember I recognized Brock, because Brock Lesnar was on the roster of that game, but I really wasn't familiar with a lot of the other Japanese talents. And like in that game, it was almost like a King of Coliseum. It was kind of similar because they had New Japan, All Japan,
Freelance,
Pro Wrestling Noah,
like Pancreas.
Yeah, it had all the different promotions.
Yep.
What's that?
Pancreas too.
Pancreas, yeah. It had all these various promotions underneath this Wrestle Kingdom banner. So playing that game, and then just my interest in Japanese wrestling really perked up, and then I got really interested in that. And then also because I would, make frequent visits to Japan to work with Yukes, on site. My friends at Yukes would give me tickets to New Japan shows, and every time I would visit Japan, they would take me to, whether it was a New Japan show or a Pro Wrestling Noah show. The first show in Japan that I actually did go to was a Pro Wrestling Noah event. It was Autumn Navigation 2006. The main event was Kenta All Caps versus Marufuji. Okay. And it was a 60-minute Broadway, and it was fucking incredible. I mean, the entire show was. And I was again, it just broadened my own horizons of pro wrestling in that, while WWE may be the largest, they are not pro wrestling. They are the biggest in pro wrestling, but they don't own it, and that there are other promotions and other things out there. So that actually, so I really got more involved in all that kind of stuff, because like I said, I mean, if I'm being honest, like I have never been a fan of, I guess, just the WWE as far as like the booking and their storylines, their angles, because it's kind of stupid, in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Like
really, I mean, every now and again they have, and when they do good shit, I'm into it and I'm invested.
Yeah.
But the thing that really, I mean, it was the talent that kept me watching, and if there were good angles or good storylines behind a match, and that was, for me, just like the icing on the cake. Mm-hmm. But during my years of watching it, those kind of things were kind of, rare and few between. But again, it's like, even WWE to this day, I watch it. It's not very good, but, when they've got guys, the roster is so good, where it's like, if you put a match where it's like, Ricochet and AJ, Yeah, of course I'm gonna watch that. I love these dudes. I just kind of wish they had better, programs behind them and stuff. But obviously that's not the talent's fault.
Yeah, true.
But that really kind of broadened my horizons, and just knowing that there's a whole other world of wrestling out there beyond WWE, and it just made me more of a fan of pro wrestling. And by this time I was just like, I just wanted to dive deep into the history of the business. I mean, I started reading any kind of book I could find on pro wrestling. I mean, I just kind of started to educate myself.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it strengthened my wrestling fandom. Once I kind of took my sights outside of WWE's world and just got into other stuff. And I'm glad I did, because that's what the wrestling scene is now. I mean, there's all kinds of shit going on right now. This is a very cool time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, because it's like you got so many options. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, so many choices now. It's great.
And that's another question I'm going to get to in a little bit later. But with broadening your horizons on the different types of wrestling, did that somehow change your creative aspects or what you put into the wrestling games going forward once you started seeing different types of wrestling?
It did. And probably anybody one of the things that I was in charge with were movesets, and not just creating the movesets, but also determining which moves to get into the game and stuff. And once we started doing the move pack DLC,
mm-hmm.
which you had asked earlier, I didn't answer, about something that I had been pushing for to get into the game. The Moose Pack was one. I remember when Corey first announced we were doing DLC.
Yeah.
The obvious things, of course, are characters.
Yeah.
To add, new superstars, whatever. But I was pushing so hard. I'm like, no, man, we need to. The fans, they love the moves, bro. Like, if we just gave them a pack of just new moves, that shit would go over like gangbusters. And Corey didn't really think so at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a couple of years before we finally got the go-ahead. And honestly, I think it was, I think the first, it took a couple of years, because we didn't start doing the move pack until WWE, was it 13 or 14, I believe.
I think it was, because I think 13, was it? It was, I know the DLC also had like NWO with it. So I think it was 14?
It was 14, because I remember we brought in Pac, Neville, to mocap his moves.
Yeah.
And I remember directing him at mocap for that. Yeah, no, it started with him. Yeah, so it must have been, it was WWE 2K14.
Mm-hmm.
Was the first year that we did that. And so, like I said, I've been pushing for that since, SmackDown vs. Raw 2009.
Wow.
And so it took a while for it to happen, but I don't know, the fans seem to really dig that part of the DLC.
Yeah.
And it stuck around for a while. I don't think 2K is doing it again this year. I could be wrong, but I don't think they announced it yet.
Okay.
But I was always proud. of that. But yeah, in those DLC, in those move packs, you can kind of see my influence.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of stuff from various promotions that I would use to curate those packs.
Now,
So it did. It strengthened and it helped my creativity and my game design and kind of thinking kind of more outside the box of what things we can add into the game.
Yeah.
I also, this is funny. I also did some training, some pro wrestling training.
Oh.
For a couple of months. There was a school in Anaheim, Mach 1 Pro Wrestling, run by this man named John Ian. He's kind of like a stalwart of the West Coast independent scene. He was, for the long time, the PWG ring announcer, and had his hands involved in various other independent promotions out west, on the West Coast. And I remember leaving the PWG show, and there was a flyer for this Mach 1 Pro Wrestling that was in Anaheim, which is a little further from me than where I live. But I was like, I just had the itch, especially, because, being in the mocap studio and, directing the guys, and I get in there and they'd show me some holds and I'm doing moonsaults and shit like that. I just like, man, I really want to learn this. So I contacted Mach 1 and I went down there and I trained for 3 or 4 months. And that helped because I started to get an understanding of why certain things are done, in a match. And then I was able to kind of, that helped me on the game design side of, being able to, for various, things that I was working on, I had a better sense of why things are done, and that really helped. But that was fun, that training. And I'm not very athletic in terms of sports. I'm terrible at basketball. I can't catch a football. But I was, not to toot my own horn, but I was pretty good in the ring. And I had some pretty cool trainers. Joey Ryan was a trainer.
What?
Yeah. I remember Brian Cage was in one of the advanced classes. I remember seeing him there. Willie Mack, I was in the ring with him. We were doing drills. And I remember the first time I saw him, and I didn't know his name. That was the first I was in class, and it was the first time I saw him.
Yeah.
But Joey had everybody on the apron. And you've probably seen this on like Tough Enough. He would just do these drills where like 2 people would get in, work some holds and, kind of do some stuff on the fly. Those people would exit out, 2 more people would come in. And I just remember seeing when Willie got in there, he stood apart from everybody else to such a degree. And I'm just looking at him like, what the fuck? Like he was just a wrestling machine. And I was like, wow. And like I said, this is I don't know. I mean, he obviously was on a higher level than the rest of us, but he definitely stood out. And I was like, man, this guy is something special. And then after that, I started seeing him on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, which is like a local promotion out here in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, that's the cat from Mach 1. I was like, oh shit. So that was really cool. But that helped with my design and just made me more knowledgeable about the art of pro wrestling. So yeah.
Was there any...
I'm sorry, man. If I'm rambling too much, you can always cut me off.
It's fine. Was there any kickback to things that you wanted to add where they were like, okay, let's say for instance, like we know if it's a wrestler who left and who were, released or left WWE and you wanted to still add their moves in the game or anything like that where they were like, no, I don't think we can add that or we have to change the name, or was there any kickback to certain moves you wanted to add in the game?
No, generally speaking, no. If only in extreme cases. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you remember like when the incident with Benoit and what happened there. We had to, of course, remove him. Obviously, but we got rid of his moveset from the game, the crossface and the diving headbutt and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And that came at the request of WWE. But again, that's like in extreme cases. When Hulk Hogan was removed, the same thing. Get rid of anything that is, patently and, plainly his. Okay. Which obviously, a lot of his motions you can just tell. It's like, well, that's Hogan. Like, you got to get rid of that. The cupping of the ears, the leg drops, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But again, extreme cases. If a superstar wrestler is released and they're no longer in the game, we keep this stuff. We change the name. Yeah. If it's a name closely associated with that wrestler, but barring some like horrific or just embarrassing incident involving that wrestler, no, there isn't any pushback.
Okay, all right. Now you were also talking about when you first started working or doing collaborations with Yukes. When did you switch over from THQ to Yukes? Like, how did that happen?
So I joined Yukes in 2015. Mm-hmm. So I was with TSU up until the day that they closed their doors. Me and my team, the wrestling team, and we actually, and that was a trip. That last day at THQ was a trip. Mm-hmm. It was like the last day of school when you're in high school, where everybody's just there on campus, not really giving a fuck.
Yeah.
But also very somber. Mm. It was pretty crazy. Everybody's walking around the halls, just taking equipment, and people just drinking beers and just kind of it was strange. Mm. But after that, 2K, they took over the license. So the WWE license, and then took the WWE team on as well.
Okay.
So we basically just transitioned, myself and the rest of the team transitioned from being TSU employees to 2K employees. And once that transition happened, we stayed working out of our office in Agoura Hills for, I want to say, another month and a half, 2 months before we moved into a 2K facility in North Hills, which is actually very close to where I was living at the time, which was dope for me because my drive to Agoura Hills was about 30 minutes, and my commute went from 30 minutes to about 5 minutes, so that was cool.
Yeah.
And we were, but even that was at a temporary location because that was like a two-way facility for them, but they just needed some place for us. Mm-hmm. And we were there finishing up WWE 14 at the time. Mm-hmm. I remember I had been sent on a press tour to Europe, and I had to go. I was in London, Germany, and a couple of other places. Like just kind of trying to sell the 2K14, present it to the journalists and everything. And I remember coming back, Corey telling me that I know you're just getting back from your trip. You must be tired, but we really need you in the office early tomorrow morning. Because typically on a trip like that, when you come back, especially like an international thing, the boss will give you leeway. It's like, sleep in, take your time, get into the office whenever you can. But I remember Corey, specifically saying you got to get there early. We're having like a meeting, like 2K is going to be here. They have some information for us. And I was like, oh yeah, of course. So I got in that next day and early, and I'm looking around. I'm like, this motherfucker Corey told me to be here early, and he's not even here. And I woke my ass up, and so all of us are all there, and I'm looking, but I'm also seeing these faces that I didn't recognize. So I just attributed that. Oh, they must be the people from 2K. Mm-hmm. And so I'm at my desk, and I'm chatting with coworkers and everything, and all of a sudden I see people being moved into different rooms. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what's going on? I see my coworker Jody, and he's being directed towards the room. So I get up, and I'm following him because I figure, I guess, go with him. Yeah. And I remember being told that no, you stay. We're going to put you in a different room. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, this is weird. So we had to, they separated people into different rooms. And, me and the rest of, the guys in my room, we basically just got told what was happening that day, that everyone in the room that we were in, we being 2K, mm-hmm. that they want to retain and keep on the team to, keep working, on the franchise moving forward. But in order to do that, we're going to need everybody to relocate to Nevada, which is in Northern California, mm-hmm. Near San Francisco, in order to continue working. And basically said, we'll give you guys, time to think the decision through. Anyone who doesn't or chooses not to make the move, be offered a severance, and we thank you for everything that you've done up to this point.